Let's be clear. The Democrats are aiding and abetting enemy combatants. I don't want to hear that they're protesters. I don't even want this called a riot. This is beyond all that. When you wave a foreign flag while setting things on fire, while throwing rocks, which literally become lethal projectiles, when you engage in that kind of behavior, you are not protesting. You're not even rioting. You are an enemy combatant engaging in literal acts of war. And this is what the Democrats have decided, the hill on which they will die in defending the enemies of America. Have you thought about how ludicrous that this all started because ICE rounded up some employees at a Home Depot who were here illegally? Many of them had been engaging in other illegal activities while being here, everything from drug dealing to child sex trafficking to murder. And these people came out to protest their deportation back to Mexico. No, but yet while they burn Los Angeles to the ground, they're waving the Mexican flag. Think about the irony here. The very country they're refusing to be deported to, they will declare war on in the name of that country because of the socialist Mexican presidente who is out there telling her people who live in the United States to take to the streets and mobilize. What would the international media, what would our media do if Donald Trump was encouraging American citizens that lived in another country, fill in the blank, which one, and told them over something they didn't like, take to the streets, mobilize, and do what you have to do? This is who the Democrats are defending now. This type of behavior, this type of lawless anarchy, and that's just what it is. And sadly, it takes Justin Fetterman within the Democratic Party to tell the rest of his party, you guys have absolutely got this wrong.
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman condemning the violent anti-ICE protests in L.A., posting on X, quote, "I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement."
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That'll give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's the only way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of the Afternoon Drive. Well, let's see. This is twice now in less than a year that the city of Los Angeles has been going up in flames. And it's twice now that the feckless leadership of the state and city are caught doing absolutely nothing but campaigning and posturing. When the wildfires broke out, you had the mayor off in another country attending a wedding and then coming back and firing the fire chief. You have the governor who emptied the reservoirs that fueled the fire hydrants because of some type of, ecological green energy bullhawk had allowed reservoirs to go dry. Now, as Los Angeles burns, you have both the mayor and the alleged governor, sitting there, little windbreakers in their command centers, griping, bitching, and moaning about Donald Trump, but they themselves not taking any proactive steps to do their number one job, the number one thing that a public official is elected to do: protect the citizenry. That's it. All the other things that they do are superficial. Again, the only reason that many of our founding fathers who were anti-federalists went ahead and voted for a federalized system of government was to provide for the national defense of the people, the protection of the people, to maintain and establish law and order and protect the citizenry. That's it. And yet, as the city went up in flames, it was Donald Trump who stepped in, and then Gavin Newsome started threatening lawsuits. First, he was going to sue over the fact that he had nationalized or federalized the National Guard. And now that Donald Trump is going to send in 700 Marines, which, by the way, they're already there. They're already staging and getting ready to take up their posts. Now, Gavin Newsome is threatening to sue over that.
The Secretary of Defense is illegally deploying them onto American streets so Trump can have a talking point at his parade this weekend. It's a blatant abuse of power. We will sue to stop this.
Gavin, may I remind you of what Justin Fetterman from your party is saying?
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman condemning the violent anti-ICE protests in LA, posting on X, quote, "I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement."
But of course, they don't care about the lawlessness. They think this is a winning tactic for them. And Gavin Newsome is not interested in protecting the people of Los Angeles. He's running for president, and right now he is appealing to the progressive liberal base at what he's doing. The rest of the nation sees his city and state going up in flames and him gaslighting rather than actually managing and condemning the acts of violence. We actually have an ABC reporter saying that the police involvement is just creating escalation, and that these people are just having some fun watching a few cars burn. That's a direct quote. You have another Democratic state official in California on CNN saying that if the police would just disband and leave, these protesters would just go home. What fantasy planet is she living on? So in other words, we're to keep capitulating to the people who are creating wanton acts of violence. We're just to seed things like they did in Minnesota, and where cities were taken over and pig-free zones were declared, and police stations were actually taken over because the police ran rather than stand ground and defend and shoot. And let me just say this. These people running around waving the Mexican flag and setting things on fire, they're a combatant at that point. Use lethal weaponry and stop them. That guy standing by the side of the road, he was chucking the rocks at the police and ICE vehicles. Do you know that if you're driving with your family down an interstate and somebody drops a rock from an overpass onto your windshield, causing an accident, if it results in your fatality, that person, if caught, is charged with murder? But not in California. If it's a righteous cause, like we gotta stand against Donald Trump and ICE. You know what should happen while that guy was chucking rocks at windshields? One of those police vehicles, as it rolled by, needed to roll window down, bang, dead. Because hurling those rocks in that manner, that way, is a lethal form of aggression. And lethal aggression should be met with equally lethal opposition. Period. But you have other Democrats who, along with the media, are trying to spin this that everything was under control until Donald Trump showed up. No, it wasn't. That video footage that we have shown of, 7, 8 police cars just destroyed from an overpass with cinder blocks, the cars on fire, all of that happened on Friday. Donald Trump didn't announce his deployment of National Guardsmen till the weekend. So the city was already starting to brew and go up in flames before Donald Trump did anything. So let's correct that false narrative. And then let's keep this in mind.
That this time the National Guard were sent out to attack protesters that were exercising their constitutional obligation.
We don't take lightly to the president abusing his authority and unlawfully mobilizing California National Guard troops.
Where's the video footage of National Guardsmen or any military on the ground right now engaging with these protesters? Well, that's right, there isn't any. Because you know why? That's not what's happening. The National Guard has been deployed to government buildings. They're guarding federal buildings. They're not engaging with the public unless the public comes to the federal building. The military presence is guarding federal property. Basically, Donald Trump is saying, okay, Newsome, you and your cops think you can handle the streets? You handle the streets, but I can promise you not one U.S. federal building is going up in flames. Not one U.S. federal building is going to be invaded and taken over and the people inside forced to run while the invaders occupy the building and declare it a pig-free zone. That's what's happening.
Well, Ainsley, frankly, it is a lot less tense on the streets of downtown LA this morning than it was just 24 hours ago. We were standing here in front of the Metropolitan Detention Center yesterday morning talking to you guys. This entire street was blocked off. National Guard troops were stationed right across it. Now, as you see there's just a handful of those National Guard troops out the front of the Metropolitan Detention Center. So it is a different situation this morning. You definitely feel a lessening of the tension.
But I have to be completely honest with you. At this point, I don't have a problem if when those Marines finally do deploy and hit the streets, if they don't literally hit the streets and just start push these people back to the ocean as far as I'm concerned. This is an illegal act of war under foreign flags. These people are receiving supplies on the ground, so there's outside funding coming into this. And Donald Trump is sending a clear message to other blue cities. This is not going to be tolerated. And by the way, remember, it was Donald Trump who wanted the National Guard to go in and make sure that there were no problems on January 6th. And it was Nancy Pelosi who said no. And this time, Donald Trump is not being told no by any Democratic mayor or governor. Donald Trump is doing what an elected official is elected to do. Protect the citizenry. Boom.